Welcome back to Elevation 44. It's your girl B. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. Today we are diving into this Cancer new moon. And there's a lot to talk about with this Cancer new moon, or a lot of things to consider rather, because it is bringing some stuff up to the forefront. Normally, I'd be like, yes, the moon is at home in its home sign of Cancer, because all the strongest qualities or attributes of this moon come out when it's in its home sign. But there's some things that we have to talk about, okay? So before I dive into that, like I said, if you are new here, welcome. I'm B, and I bring you these astrology updates every new and full moon, and sometimes in between, so that you understand what energies are present during the time of these new moons and full moons, and how to set your intentions and how to work with the energy and what to keep in mind. Okay, so that's what these videos are intended to do, to inform you, to empower you, to enlighten you. Okay, and if you are enjoying this content and you have been here for a while, please go on ahead and thumbs up this video. If you haven't joined the family and you've been watching for a while, please go on ahead and subscribe. I don't ask you guys for much. I never ask for likes. I never ask for subscriptions, and I don't push my products upon you. So if you are enjoying this does help me out. So if you can give a thumbs up to this video, okay? All right, so with this Cancer new moon, okay, it's happening on June 28th, and it's gonna be happening at 10:51 p.m. Eastern time, okay? So if you're not in the Eastern time zone, please translate that to your local time zone, okay? And it's gonna be happening at 7 degrees. 7 is a very spiritual number. It's a very reflective number, and we have some reflection happening in terms of this moon and some of the things that's going to be coming up, because this really is, when we talk about reflection in terms of the number 7 in numerology, it's like looking back on everything so that you can look forward, right? So there is a lot of past stuff coming up, and that reflection is definitely prevalent in some of the energies that are present. So let's just jump right into the energies, because there is a lot to consider and a lot of things that we want to keep in mind, because this is not going to be like the most, hunky-dory, like, yeah, woohoo, let's celebrate and set our intentions type of moon. Yes, you can do those things, and you should always prevail in joy despite what the circumstances or things look like. But I just also want to keep it real with you and let you know that you can be challenged energetically, emotionally, specifically emotionally during this time, okay? So let's just talk a little bit about the new moon, just in case you are new to this channel and you're like, what is a new moon? A new moon is when the sun and the moon align at the exact same degree in the same sign, in order to bring a hyper awareness or focus in one particular area. A symbolic or spiritual translation would represent kind of like newness. It's like the death cycle and then a rebirth. Now something is being reborn out of that darkness. So this new moon is a great time where we plant our seeds, set our intentions. You can think about this as the conception stage, because even when you think about making a baby, when you make, when you're having a baby, or you're making a baby, creating a baby, however you want to say it, that conception happens in darkness. And so this is when we use this darkness to not only heal, to rest, to and reflect and all of that, but also we use this darkness in order to create and plant those seeds, have that conception stage, so that it can blossom and grow and be created, come to life, right? So that's like the simple spiritual breakdown of the new moon energy. So this is a time where we'll talk a lot about planting seeds or setting intentions, right, to what you want to create or manifest or bring into your life. So with that, like I said before, with the moon being in the sign of Cancer, Cancer is very much about that feminine nurturing energy. It's about, a lot of people like to consider it the mother energy, right? Because it's nurturing, it's compassionate, it's feminine, it's emotional, it's very internal, you know, so all of the things that the moon brings to the forefront, Cancer really highlights that too, like family, you know, vulnerability, like emotional connections and bonds and security and things like that. So when we have the new moon in the sign, or the moon at all in the sign of Cancer, you know, your intuition, you know, your family life, your home life, your roots, you know, your emotions, the connections that you have with your vulnerability, all of that is really highlighted more than anything else, right? These are the things that you tend to focus on, or the awareness that you tend to have is really through the lens of kind of like more of an emotional intelligence, or an emotional view or lens on life, right? So these are the themes that typically play out, and they are playing out here with this moon. But one of the things that is kind of making this moon challenging is that this new moon, so this sun and this moon, which are aligned and focused in this one area, and the sun representing our outer needs, the moon representing our inner needs, coming together in this one area to focus, is that they're going to be conjunct this time Black Moon Lilith. And Black Moon Lilith is not a planet. It's not an asteroid. It is a mathematical point in the moon's orbit, okay? So this is what Black Moon Lilith is in astrology. But what Black Moon Lilith represents is the dark feminine, or the dark mother aspects within ourselves. And whether you you know, identify as male, as female, as neither, it doesn't matter. We all have masculine and feminine energies present within us. It's just like the balance of what makes this universe, what makes this thing go round, okay? So with that said, we all have feminine energy within us, and this is our dark feminine energy. This is what it represents. It represents basically our desires, our raw primal instincts and desires. It is not, Lilith is not the energy to be controlled, to be conformed. It is just what it is at its most passionate, rawest, purest form, okay? And it's embracing that. There are some, you know, really heavy aspects, or I wouldn't say heavy aspects, but heavy qualities also to Lilith's nature or energy, which can be very like chaotic, can be very destructive, can be very, you know, just kind of primal, because it's those primal instincts. So think about darkness. In darkness, a lot of the time there's chaos, but in chaos you can find order. So this energy is very much necessary, even though it can be quite intimidating sometimes to deal with, okay? So when Lilith is in Cancer here, we are talking about basically a highlight of our deep need for security, for emotional security, for nurturing. And so with this moon, new moon conjunct, conjunct Lilith, right? And I think they're sitting about a 1 degree apart. So it's a pretty tight conjunction. So they're blending together to put super emphasis on this emotional support or need or nurturing that is lacking, you know, in each one of our lives in certain aspects. This is one of the things that is going to be the beauty of how you move forward and set your intentions, but it's also going to be one of the greatest challenges, because like I said, that other side of Lilith's energy is it's just so raw and it's just so out there and can't be controlled. It can, while revisiting some of the things that will come up during this time, like ancestral and family traumas and past incidents, a lot of the things with the past come up in order for us to really not only analyze it, but say, hey, this is my need, this is my desire, because I did not get this in this way, or I'm actually still living out these traumas, or these things have been passed down. It's a lot about the past being how it's impacting the present and the future, and dealing with that. And that is a challenge, right? Because while there's a beauty in being able to have an opportunity to do that, it is really challenging to live through sometimes, okay? So what we can find ourselves here is like, we can find ourselves because our deepest desires are coming to the forefront about that emotional support, security, those connections, that vulnerability that we need, that we feel like we lack, that we were, that we didn't get, or we were robbed, or these incidents or things that happened in the past that took away that ability for us to have that. We find ourselves just kind of obsessed on creating this ideal scenario of what it looks like to have that fulfilled. So sometimes we can find ourselves obsessed with, getting into a place of wanting to force relationships in place in order to provide what we truly deeply desire in those aspects or in those ways. We can also find ourselves just kind of fixated on past things, getting enraged about, being slighted, shorted, whatever happened in the past to create these traumas or these things that are being passed down that you're dealing with. We can get caught up in that whole whirlwind. So like trying to force things into place that are not necessarily good for us just because we want to fulfill that deep desire, and also just getting like caught up in the emotional whirlwind of everything that we did experience and how we're feeling at the moment, which can be very, very angry, can be very rebellious. This conjunction will bring forth your deepest desires in the emotional department, and it will bring forth your rage, okay? It can make you feel extremely emotional, so you can be feeling very emotionally reactive, so you have to just keep that in mind and just completely keep your temper under control, keep yourself, your emotions and stuff under control, and try to ground yourself as much as possible during this time, okay? You're gonna be feeling all the emotions. For those of you who do not like to feel the feels, you're gonna be feeling the feels during this time, and especially if you have personal planets that are, making contact with these three, Lilith, the sun, and the moon, right? So that is definitely going to be on your radar. A positive thing here is that you're going to be more accepting of whatever your deepest desires are. Sometimes I know that in this society that we live in, and it's very true for living in America, there's this hyper focus on being independent and not needing anybody and not needing to have connection to people and vulnerability and and being emotionally like just raw and available and just, you know what I mean? So because of that, and a lot of us have been programmed in that way to believe that, you can find yourself now moving out of that space where you're like, it is okay to want to be emotionally connected and deep and vulnerable with other people, to have a sense of family and home, to thrive in a community, to thrive in a family, to have your safe space, and not necessarily be so hyper independent and focused on that anymore. So what you want, what your desires are, what you truly need, you are more accepting of that during this time because you refuse to suppress them. That Lilith energy will not allow you to suppress them any longer. It is what it is. I want what I want and I'm gonna get it. Like that's that Black Moon Lilith energy, okay? Another positive here is that your intuition is gonna be heightened. So again, I always tell you, lead with your intuition, allow that to guide you, don't get caught up so much on the emotional roller coaster. Feel the feels, but don't stay on that roller coaster. Don't be way swinging wildly up and down all over the place. And some of you are probably feeling this energy, this whole emotional thing for a while now, probably for the past few weeks, especially. I think for a lot of us, it started with that Mars and Chiron conjunction in the sign of Aries, and that brought in a lot of triggering stuff too in that aspect. So if you've been riding this thing for a while, just try to be really even keeled during this time. Allow yourself to feel the feels, all right? Another aspect that is going to be a little challenging, adding another level of challenge in this Cancer new moon, is that this new moon is going to be square Jupiter. So the sun, the moon, and black moon Lilith are going to be square Jupiter at this time. So here, there's a tendency to overdo things, to have strong emotional reactions. Again, like I said, that emotional volatility is going to be super, super high. So you're going to have to watch that. Not only with yourself, but with other people. So you know when people are lashing out and doing things, you know exactly where it's coming from. Those strong emotional reactions are there. Then the other thing here is there is a tendency to lower your standards in relationships. Remember when I talked about filling that need for that emotional support or that connection, emotional connection, you can just be trying to stuff, the wrong person into that, into that role in order just to fulfill that desire for yourself. So you can get caught up here. So don't lower your needs or your standards because you're trying to quote unquote fill something in, right? You can get caught up in temptations. This can also trigger your pessimism in regards to your beliefs and give you an overall negative internal dialogue with yourself, where you're beating yourself up, where you're stewing on the past, where you're taking on guilt and blame and shame and all of that type of stuff. So this is a time where you need to be balancing your desires with your beliefs, okay? Another thing that's going to be happening at the time of this new moon that is challenging, and it's not necessarily a direct aspect that the moon is making, but an aspect that is also happening on top of this is Mars is going to be squaring Neptune. And if I fail to mention, if you're not familiar with the term squaring means that there's tension happening, okay? So the tension between Mars and Neptune overall brings low negative energy. So the vibes around this moon may not feel very good. Like, I'm just gonna be real with you. It may not feel like all smiles and sunshines and rainbows. So I'm just keeping it real, okay? You can be carrying, again, guilt from the past, feelings of guilt and shame and all of that type of stuff. You can feel overall discouraged, paranoid, and vindictive against others who have wronged you or who have caused these traumas or crossed you or created these things. So with all that said, I want you to take a chill pill, a woosah. This is a time for you to dive into your own deep healing, figuring out what your needs, your wants, your desires are, and creating a healthy path forward and setting intentions on bringing those things in, the things that you need and the things that you want, in an aligned and a healthy way, and to express and release emotionally in that process and heal through a healthy way. So that would be my advice there. I just felt called to pull an oracle card because I wanted to get another level of guidance or support because this was such challenging energy. And I wanted to go ahead and read you guys something that I got from that session of, just extra downloads. So what I pulled from this deck, and it's called the Mystical Shaman Oracle Guidebook. I don't know if you guys can see that. I love this deck. I use this in my own personal life every day for guidance and just all of that type of stuff. I feel like that's how I get a lot of downloads. I mean, I get downloads and stuff in other ways, but I also get a lot of information through this deck as well. So the card that I pulled for us collectively that would help us have another level of insight and guidance here is the Tree of Life. And I'm just gonna go ahead and read the Tree of Life so that you can understand or pull something out of it. So this card is the essence of it. The Tree of Life is a sacred symbol throughout the Americas. Its deep roots reach into the lower world, the unconscious, while its branches reach to the heavens, the source of destiny. To be whole in your life's journey, it is important to have deep roots and high branches. A tall tree with shallow roots falls in the first wind, but a tree with deep roots can weather any storm. The invitation here is To find health and balance in your life, reflect on how you dance with your action, your thoughts, and your feelings. If you are too much in your thinking head or in a world of fantasies and daydreaming, connect more with your roots and your physical body. If you are caught in mechanical doing and you are feeling stuck, not able to imagine a better life for yourself, open up to be inspired by the heavens. Let your roots and branches be aligned with your heart's longings. So I hope that was a helpful message in helping you navigate this energy, and also in setting your intentions on the things that you would like to bring forth or heal or address, with all that is present and revealed during this time, okay? So let's see about the crystal. The crystal that I would recommend you working with is Moonstone. Moonstone, it's pretty self-explanatory, but this is, again, a connection, helps us connect to our softer feminine energy, because that Lilith energy is also going to be strong. So let's bring out the softer side, not the the harder side, right? So this encourages also hope and embracing new beginnings. It also helps us with inner clarity and mental balance, okay, which we will very much need during this time. And the herb that I recommend you working with is chamomile. Chamomile is great for banishing negativity or negative energy in general. It promotes peace, and because Cancer, the moon, Cancer, all of that is really, really connected to currency or currents or flow. It is good for also money and wealth and attracting that in. So if some of you want to set your intentions around, calling in abundance, calling in wealth, money, or doing anything along those lines, chamomile will be a good support for that as well, okay? So that is all that I have for you today. Cancers, where are you at, okay? It is Cancer season. So shouting out all my Cancers, Cancer moons, Cancer suns, whatever your Cancer placements are. I am a Cancer sun, and this is going to be a particularly challenging, I think, new moon, a helpful one, but challenging for me, because this sun and this moon and this black Lilith are all right on top of 3 of my personal planets, because I have a Cancer stellium. So yes, let the fun begin. So when I say I'm in it with you guys too, I am not exempt. Just because I'm bringing you this does not mean I'm exempt from it. So shout out to all the Cancers in the building, and whoever is vibing during Cancer season, leave all your stuff down below so we can shout you out. I love you guys so much. Again, just try to be as emotionally stable as you can during this time. For those of you who are really good at that, please lend that energy to other people who are not so good at it. And it actually may flip for you. You might even feel more emotional than you're used to feeling or wanting to feel. So just have patience with yourself during this process, okay? So I love you all. I will see you in the next video. Stay sane. Peace.